Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the BFA class review series. My name is Mr. Couchy, and I will lay out for you some of the changes affecting Discipline Priests going into battle for Azeroth. Although we are close to the end of beta, some of this is still subject to change, so don't take everything said here as law. The Discipline Priest was subjected to quite a bit in Legion, virtually Garbo in the beginning because of its terrible stats setup due to lack of gear, but saw Discipline ramp up to being virtually unstoppable in raid scenarios, turning into the burst mitigation and healing spec that any progression raid absolutely needed. Not bad in dungeons, but the required setup and reliance on other group members not to royally fuck up every damn pull made Discipline a nightmare to play, devolving into a Shadowman spam instead of a methodical shield radiance damage setup that played to their advantage. With so many quirks, Blizz believed that Disc needed some changes going into BFA. All priests have received Power Word Fortitude, which increases stamina by 10% for an hour for your raider group. Mass Dispel had its cooldown changed from 15-second cooldown to a 45-second cooldown to prevent any Dispel shenanigans. Your old Mastery, Plea, and the Penitent have been removed, completely revamping how Disc will play going into BFA. You have gained Desperate Prayer, which increases max health by 25% for 10 seconds and instantly heals you for 25% of that amount. Holy Nova causes an explosion of holy light around you, dealing holy damage to all enemies and healing all allies within 12 yards. You have a new Mastery, which is Grace. Your healing and absorption is increased by 1% on targets with Atonement. And your Atonement is applied with Power Word Shield, Shadow Mend, or Radiance for 15 seconds. Your spell damage heals all targets affected by Atonement for 60% of the damage done, up from 40%. Power Word Shield had its cooldown changed from 7.5 seconds to none, and its cost changed from 2.3% to 2.5% base. This is your new Plea. It really doesn't shield for much, so don't be relying on this through your dungeon or raid. Pain Suppression had its cooldown changed from 4 minutes to 3 minutes. Power Word Radiance had its cooldown changed from 18 to 20 seconds. Rapture, for the next 10 seconds, Power Word Shield absorbs an additional 200%, and the cooldown has been changed from 2 minutes to 1.5. Shadow Word Pain deals its damage a bit quicker, reducing from 18 to 16 seconds. And your Shadow Fiend lasts 15 seconds instead of 12. Your core damage abilities in Shadow Mend received some minor number or wording changes, but the core Atonement gameplay remains in BFA. Some of your talents have been changed though. Clarity of Will, Grace, and Sanctuary have all been removed as talents. In their places, Contrition, when you heal with Penance, everyone with your Atonement is also healed. This is a nice quality of life change, making it feel like when you heal with Penance you're not penalized. Lenience, Atonement reduces damage taken by 3%. A solid talent for raid scenarios or higher Mythic Plus to help survive those one-shots. Luminous Barrier, you create a shield on all allies within 40 yards, absorbing damage on each of them for 10 seconds. It just turns your Power Word Barrier into a raid-wide bubble versus a static bubble to stand in. Sins of the Many, your damage is increased by up to 12%, diminishing for each ally affected by your Atonement. The theme here is that they just took most of your artifact traits and turned them into talents and buffed the hell out of them. Won't get many complaints from me, these are all great new additions that really help Discipline pump out some sweet DPS. Shield Discipline, when your Power Word Shield is completely absorbed, you restore 0.5% of your max mana. Body and Soul, Power Word Shield increases your target's move speed by 40% for 3 seconds. This can occur once every 6 seconds. I thought this was going to be broken as fuck until they added this 6-second cooldown shit. Now it's a dead talent. Schism, you attack the enemy's soul with a surge of shadow damage, and increasing damage that you deal to the target by 40% for 9 seconds. The cooldown has been changed from 6 seconds to 24, and its cost to change from 2.5 to 0.5% of base mana. In case you didn't get the memo, Disc Priests are capable of doing more damage than DPS classes currently on the beta when the stars align. This is the reason for it. Shadow Covenant had its cost changed from 5% to 2.8% of base mana. Its cooldown changed from none to 12 seconds. So no more spamming in Mythic Plus dungeons also makes this a dead talent, except for maybe on bursting weeks, but even then you might want to go holy for those. And finally, Twist of Fate. After healing a target below 35%, you deal 20% increased damage and healing for 10 seconds. Discipline's changes are almost entirely for the better. The damage output is literally insane, but they can't really tune this out, as their healing output is already in line with most of the other healers. They have the tools to be great raid healers still with Barrier and Rapture, and dungeons will see a nice spike in Disc Priest usage. They are definitely still a higher skill cap healer, and some of the talents they received will help them compete in higher Mythic Plus dungeons. I still think that they will play second or third fiddle to Holy Pally and Resto Druid throughout dungeons, but only time will tell. Overall, Discipline feels great, and I look forward to seeing how much damage is sustainable on long raid or dungeon encounters. How did you think Discipline felt in Legion, and how do you think it will perform in BFA? Tell me what you think in the comments below. Thanks for sticking around, like and subscribe, and in case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.